is a really great way to add your own personal touch to any jewelry project that you're making. So take a look at these earrings. Now these are some examples of using charms and the colors of the beads together. And so you could use birthstone colors, you could use your favorite colors. Some ways to make them really custom, besides choosing charms that are meaningful to you, is to turn some things around. So if you take a look at these earrings with the little wing charm, you know, one is facing up and one is facing down so that you have some directionality, and that just kind of mixes it up and puts that maker's touch onto your jewelry projects. So that's something to consider too. When you're thinking about using charms, I don't always think about using them as earrings. You know, you might think about using them on a pendant or as a charm bracelet, but this gives you an idea of how you could also incorporate them into earrings. Now when you do that, you can add color in a lot of different ways that, because it's not touching the skin, you know, you don't have to worry so much about sealing it, but it does add a really nice touch and kind of makes it pop. So there are some different things that you can do to add color to your charms. And one thing that you can start out with trying is using a permanent pen to highlight areas in a design. So in a piece like this, where there are recessed areas that have a little bit of a patina on them, you can just use a permanent pen to rub over the top and add some color to the whole thing, and just color away on the top of surface of your bead. And then you can remove some of that color with a piece of felt. And you could also use a polishing pad for that. But the idea is that you're just getting the color down into the cracks and crevices, and you can even layer some different colors together to blend onto the surface of your starfish or whatever shape you happen to be using. Now another thing that you can do is use alcohol inks to add some color to different surfaces. So in addition to using them on metal, you could also use them on something like this. This component has some pearls through the center here, so I can just use a tiny bit of ink to colorize those pearls and give them my own personal touch. And again, you can wipe away some of the extra with your piece of felt and just rub that in, and that gives it a totally custom look. And if you feel like you're getting too much ink, you can remove the extra with an alcohol, a little bit of alcohol on your felt, or you can use a baby wipe to take away any of that extra that gets onto your piece. Now, a piece like this where it's really something nice and shiny, it doesn't have a lot of patina on it, you can use an emery board to kind of roughen up the surface and make a place for the ink to stick to it. Now, I know that some jewelry makers are going to cringe at removing some of that beautiful shiny surface, but this is a way that you can, you know, create a little bit more of a custom piece. So just dip a little bit of ink onto it, and then before it all runs away, you want to come to it with your felt and kind of start spreading it around. And that gives it a different color tint. And of course, the alcohol inks come in all different colors that you can coordinate with your project. Now, something you wouldn't think about maybe using is something with stones. So like this pendant here, you can use the ink also to colorize some of the stones. And you can see that those colors are starting to pop. And again, you can let that sit and dry, or you could rub away some of the ink and just consider it kind of a tint on the surface of the stones. Another idea for using some color in your charms is to use a piece like this. You can distress it by just sanding it. Again, that's taking off some of the surface patina there. And then you could leave it like this, or you can really enamel it, because nail polish is an enamel, really, you can use it as a jewelry embellishment as well. You can color the surface of your charm, and then when it's dry, you're good to go. You can match it with your beads. So just brush across the surface, and depending on the metal surface of your charms or your components, you know, you might have to experiment a little bit with which of these is going to look the best. It's going to give you the look that you want, and also which one is going to really adhere to the surface. I had a fun experiment with this octopus here. As soon as I dripped a little bit of the alcohol ink onto the part right here, it just runs down into it. And then when I removed it, I had this wonderful lettuce color left behind. Now you can take away some of that extra ink. You've got starting to colorize the whole guy. You can also use a paint pen to highlight some of these dots in the design. So think about highlighting, you know, think about using the color as highlighting within the piece. So something like this, you're really making it your own. Nobody else is going to have an octopus quite like you. Explore ways to add color to the project you're making tonight, then enjoy the compliments when you wear it tomorrow.